Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go after all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here. How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on, it's gonna be fun.
All right, guys. Today's date, November the 9th, 2022, and this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan on How the Frack We Got Here. We do take the events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. Before we get started, guys, let you know that even though this is a news podcast, we try to be as friendly as humanly possible. But sometimes words do fly at the same time that there may be things that might be shown that may be too intense for younger viewers. So viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. So, how do we start with this? I would be remiss to say when I first decided how I wanted this week's podcast to go as well, we might as well talk about the elephant in the room. Unless you've been under a rock or just tried to avoid social media or just all of entertainment, in this mid-season finale of America, season 2022, we had our midterms as of last night. The country did vote to see who they wanted to send to specific positions: governors, representatives, senators. Everybody who basically ran was up for grabs. And I would be remiss to say that as of the time of this podcast, guys, because keep in mind, votes are still being counted, but I just want to do a very quick recap of what we got so far. So keep in mind, I'm about to go across three different things here, because this is why I sit there and say you have to be careful as far as what you actually look into whenever news is being promoted. So I'm going to go over the AP, ABC, NBC, and CBS News, because trust me, Fox ain't shit. But as you can see currently, this is the current count as of the time we recorded, guys, that of course the House Representative race, according to the AP poll, 182 Democrats have been reelected versus 206 Republicans. And of course, in the Senate, you have 48 Democrats and 49 Republicans. Currently, as both in the House, you would need 218 for a majority vote. And in the Senate, you would have to have it at least 51. Now, that's the AP. If we go to NBC News, again, for the Senate, it does show that the Democrats have 48. On this one, because they're not counting Alaska yet, because Alaska will have a Alaskan senator there that'll be voted on later in the year. So they're not counting it. But as of this moment, it's still 48-48 as far as the Senate goes. From the House Representatives, however, we just got to wait a little bit. There we go. So if we believe NBC News, this is their projection. Keep in mind, this is a projection. This is not official as of yet. But NBC is projecting that the the House Republicans may get the House, although that is still up for grabs as well. Keep in mind, that's the projection they have, that that the Republicans will get 222 versus the Democrats getting 213. Which NBC is projecting that that the Republicans will get the House. ABC, however, again, if you go by the House results there, currently Democrats have 194, Republicans have 213. If you look at the Senate race that they have, they're still calling the Senate race at 48-48, even though Democrats may have possibly gained a seat in Arizona. But as I said, guys, votes are still being counted in, because Arizona, Nevada, Georgia are all still being counted. So, in the same way with CBS, again, with CBS, as they just decided just to go bonkers on me. So, actually, let me get that right first before otherwise. So, the thing about CBS, guys, and I point this out all the time. When you're looking at certain things, you always have to be sure, because every news cycle does go off the Associated Press. They go off their own pollsters. They go off of other data. And until it's officially called, that's their prediction. So I just want everybody to understand that these are just for a lot of these, like NBC predicting that the Republicans will get the House is not official as of yet. But again, we have to be very careful. Now, as I'm waiting for the screens to load on this, because that at the time of, at the time this podcast we recorded is what we're seeing so far. The Republicans wanted a red wave out of this. Didn't happen. Well, let me put it this way. It didn't happen the way they thought it would, because again, with what Republicans were doing, which beyond me, and I don't mean to sit there and be this type of cat, but how? And I can only think that Republicans have successfully duped people. Because keep in mind, Republicans have not given a plan. They've given a commitment to America that is about as loose as Swiss cheese. They've said nothing important. They've said everything that you want to hear to distress Americans, but they don't have a plan. They have been doing this since Democrats got their slim majority in Congress. Republicans have brought nothing to the table, have stoked the fires, and got enough people to vote for them. And I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene kept her job. The same woman who spouted QAnon, the same woman who threatened, who was part of an insurrection, even though she was quote unquote exonerated. And I say exonerated loosely. The same woman who tried to impeach Joe Biden for grounds of whatever thing she can find. This woman just got reelected. Governor Ron DeSantis got reelected. Governor Greg Abbott. And what's scary about Governor Greg Abbott is that Uvalde, Texas, voted for him. Uvalde, Texas, the school shooting, where that particular police force waited 70 minutes to go in against one-armed shooter. The city of Uvalde, Texas, and I said, now, not everybody in Uvalde, Texas, but the majority of Uvalde, Texas voted for Greg Abbott. The same man whose actual state caused a catalyst on how to ban abortions even before Roe versus Wade was repealed. It just goes to show you that for a lot of these guys who, call them what you will, fans of Trump or not, still managed to get elected. How? Well, I'm not trying to call people idiots that vote Republican. I'm just trying to figure out, what do y'all see in this? Because as I've said it before, guys, the only people who benefit from Republicans are corporations and rich people. That's it. If you're a corporation or if you're rich, Republicans being in office is Christmas in July for you. But I just can't help but want to sit there and say to those who are not in those two demographics, who are Caucasian, who may be in the poverty class, along with a lot of us, why do you keep voting against your own interest? That is the one question I would ask. And not just poor Caucasians, but Black people, Latinos, other minorities too. Because believe it or not, those groups of minorities, such as myself, do vote Republican. I ask the same question. If you don't fit in the situation that I just described, what does it have? I mean, it's like it's like shooting yourself in the foot and reloading. And I'm not saying the Democrats have all the answers. I'm not. Because the Democrats had a simple majority. They were not progressive enough. They tried to go progressive. They didn't stand on what they did. There were too many moderate Democrats in the Senate, and those moderate Democrats turn around and act a Republican, because that's what a moderate Democrat is. A moderate Democrat is Republican just enough to where they're conservative, but just a few strokes left to be considered Democrat. That's it. That's all they are. And it's that, along with two specific people. I know I haven't mentioned them in a while, but two specific Democratic senators killed an entire progressive movement that Biden was embracing at first, because it was progressives that got him in the White House, not moderates. But now that I've got CBS pulled up, again, I just want to show this very quickly. CBS has it currently 200 Democrats versus 210 Republicans for the House, and 48 Democrats to 49 Republicans in the Senate. As I said before, the reason why they're counting 49 is because Alaska will have a Republican senator for Alaska. It just has to go through its own certification process for that to happen. So at this point, what does this mean? This basically means that right now, a lot of things are up for grabs. Specifically, votes are still being counted in because mail-in votes, ballot dropping, that's still being counted. And it's amazing that if you've noticed the entire time, no one said voter fraud. There's not one Republican who won is claiming there's voter fraud, who's claiming there are illegals voting, who are claiming that dead people somehow are making votes. Notice how quiet Republicans are, that when they're elected or when they won in the Senate and the House, now all of a sudden, everything's working fine. That just goes to show you the level of bullshit it was. It just goes to show you that Governor Ron DeSantis and his election police force, who, by the way, only arrested 7 people, 6 out of those 7 people thought they could vote because they were given voter ID cards by the same administration that's running the state. Again, Republicans, well played. For the current part, well played. It wasn't the red wave everybody thought it was going to be. Oh, we're going to take the House, we're going to take the Senate, we're going to investigate the Department of Justice, the FBI. Oh, cool. It's not like any other Republican investigation you've done actually turned up anything. Benghazi, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. I mean, you could have investigated that arms deal that was done in Iraq with Bush 1.0, but you kind of look the other way on that. The point I'm making of all this is it's amazing how now, when we look at the numbers across everything, that now all conservatives are quiet. Nothing about voter fraud is being said. But it's amazing to say, well, guys, especially Governor DeSantis, woke is where Florida is where woke comes to die. No. The one thing about Florida is the same thing I say about the South. Same thing I say about Tennessee. When you have a whole bunch of people that truly believe their conservatism is the way to go, they will always vote against their own interests and swear up and down it's progress. It's not. I live in Tennessee of all places. Governor Bill Lee is a POS. Marsha Blackburn is a POS. And for the simple fact of the matter is, both those idiots were reelected. Why? Because when it comes to Tennessee, you have a lot of people out there that do not understand. I want to call them idiots, but sometimes I truly, truly believe that it's not them being idiots. It's honestly them voting against their own interest, and the word progressive scares them. The words, things they're not used to, like like being progressive or CRT, which was a big thing. Why? Those of the conservative and Fox News variety scared you with that. Oh, they're being too progressive means they're spending too much money. Critical race theory means that your white kids are going to be shamed upon because of their ancestors and what they did. And we don't want our kids to go through that. You don't want your kids to learn about actual history? Amazing. But aside from that, what's happened so far in this, now you would think for the longest time that inflation, because we've heard inflation multiple times throughout the beginning of the year. We've heard about inflation. Oh, inflation's on the rise. Everything's going up but your paycheck. You would think in the election, when they did a poll, what actual American voters were concerned about. And the messed up part about it wasn't inflation that was the biggest thing.
Crime and campaigns nationwide, abortion was the second most important issue for voters behind inflation. ABC News exit polls found 32% of voters nationwide said inflation was the biggest issue, followed by abortion at 27%. 53% of voters nationwide said in exit polling they trust Democrats over Republicans with abortion. In some razor-thin races, abortion was likely the deciding issue for voters. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, abortion actually topped inflation as a top issue for voters, according to exit polls. In that state, Democrat John Fetterman bested Republican candidate Mehmet Oz despite tight margins. 5 states had abortion on the ballot itself this election. Voters in California, Michigan, and Vermont voted to codify a right to abortion in their constitutions. Voters in Kentucky rejected an amendment that would say there is no constitutional right to an abortion. Votes for a proposal that would further restrict abortion services in Montana are still being counted.
Crazy, isn't it? That even though inflation was the number one subject, abortion was second. Now, you guys have heard me say many times on the show that if you don't give birth to children, you don't have an opinion on abortion. If you do not give birth to children, you don't have an opinion. But it's amazing, and I've said this before, how a room of decrepit old white men can tell a woman what she can do, what she can do with her body. It is literally The Handmaid's Tale, the real game. And it is amazing to me that we still in 2022, and this is why I sit there and say why Democrats really didn't run on this. Aside from the many other things, they didn't run on this. When the conservative Supreme Court shot down Roe versus Wade, calling it unconstitutional, something we never thought would happen, it's like, why didn't Democrats turn around and run on that platform? Those that are running for the Senate, those that are running for the House, those that are running for local state positions, why didn't you run on this? It's like, especially because women voters, I mean, even myself sat there and said, you know what? If I was one of those ones that said that was happy that if I was one of those ones that sat there and said I'm happy Roe versus Wade is being shot down, and I'm running for office, I would be very concerned about the women constituents in my area because they can probably make or break or decide whether or not you take office. But again, I'm shocked. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. The states that I knew that would vote to make sure that that's codifies, exactly. The South, not surprised. I live in the South, born and raised in the South. And as much as I am a progressive person in the South, I am surrounded by conservatives who really do vote against their own interests, who really do believe that everything is going the way it should be. These are the same people that will turn around and complain about anything and everything. Oh, bills too high, rents increase. We have too many people in Tennessee. We got everybody coming to Nashville. Rent's gone up. It's hard to get a house. It's hard to get a loan. It's hard to get financing. Banks don't like me. And at the same time, you'll vote against your own interest. You'll put in the exact people because, oh, they're business people. They should know what to do. Wrong. It's amazing how we didn't learn our lesson with Bill Lee the first time. A quote unquote successful businessman does not make a great politician. I'm sorry. He does not. And the fact that we voted him in again, the fact that he was voted again against Scott DeJarlais was somehow put in again. But the messed up part that I'm getting to is not that of this election. The messed up part, unfortunately, that with decisions happening in Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia, 3 states that could actually decide the control of the Senate, which at this point Democrats are hoping for, because it looks like, for all intents and purposes, unless something happens, Republicans may get the House. Now, again, it's not bad. It's not a bad scenario, Republicans getting the House. It's not bad as long as Democrats get the Senate. And then you just have a lame duck session because the House has to the House has to draft a bill and it has to pass. And of course, in the Senate, as long as the Democrats stick together, should be no problem. And of course, with Biden still running at the last of his 2 years of his term, could veto anything, which sends it back down again. Balances and checks and all that. But it's not the weirdest part of this election itself. The weirdest part of this election is that in Georgia, we have to have a runoff between current Senator Raphael Warnock and homegrown idiot Herschel Walker. I wish I could make this up.
Georgia has been one of the most closely watched election cycle. Incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock, Republican Herschel Walker are now officially headed for a runoff next month. Any indication which candidate might have the advantage there?
To be honest, Diane, we have no idea how this runoff will look like. Listen, we now know it is going there, but to get an idea and really look at how it's going to look like, it's going to be difficult. Take a look at what just happened yesterday. From coast to coast, candidates winning races, going against those initial polls, surprising candidates and voters alike. But here's what we do know when this runoff does happen. Expect to see a full-on blitz from both candidates. Expect to see that ground game heating up. Those candidates going door to door. We're going to see more rallies from both candidates. And of course, national political figures from all over the country coming here into Georgia, stumping from those candidates. You know what else we can expect to see? A whole bunch more money into this race. And that money is going to turn into political attack ads. Ads Georgia voters have been so used to seeing. And of course, this Georgia runoff will happen on December 6th. That's a month away from now. And we know politically, 1 month is a massive amount of time. Anything can happen to sway the will of the voters, what they decide.
Okay, so there's this one part that bothers me. I mean, a lot of it bothers me, but this one part bothers me, and I'm just going to just show this for a second. That's the part that bothers me. Actually, that's the part that bothers me. There we go. More of that and less of my face. Guys, do you turn around and see this? Do you see this? This was last night. 96% of the vote was counted in. Raphael Warnock, Herschel Walker. The numbers, I'm trying to figure this out. Nearly 2 million people voted for Herschel Walker. Okay, let me say this again. 2 million people voted for Herschel Walker. How? I mean, Herschel Walker, the man is the black person who every racist, bigoted white person feels like I could have a drink with him. Or he's the, you know what? I used to call Candace Owens that black friend that every white racist friend has. He might be the hold my beer of that group. But Herschel Walker, the man who lied, the man who said he graduated from the University of Georgia with top honors, and for top honors, he didn't. The man who said he started a successful business that no one can find. The man who sat there and said that he was in law enforcement and has the shiny Cracker Jack badge to prove it was found out wrong. The same man who doesn't believe in abortions, yet multiple women have came out and said that he has paid for their abortions, and then just for shits and giggles gave them a get well card. All that being said, and this man has said nothing. This man has downplayed himself, has went into one debate with Raphael Warnock where he showed by far exactly what we thought he was. This walking excuse for a CTE person could possibly be a senator in Georgia. And I say possibly because according to Georgia election rules, you have to have at least 50,000 votes ahead of said person. Neither one individuals, either Warnock or Walker, has those 50,000 votes. So they're going to go to a runoff, which means there's going to be another election, as they already had said. And of course, we start this crazy mess all over again. I'm perplexed. I'm befuddled because I'm trying to figure out. Herschel Walker it's like, you know what Herschel Walker is? Herschel Walker is Donald Trump just with a different skin complexion. That's it. It's like He calls himself, Donald never calls himself dumb. I'm very intelligent. I surround myself with the smartest people I know because I know I have great words, I have great vocabulary. That's how Donald Trump sounds. Now, Donald Trump wasn't trying to put on a show, he'd be Herschel Walker. The point I'm making out of this is, how in the world did nearly 2 million votes go to Walker? I am trying because Herschel Walker, again, and this is the point that I keep coming back to. Republicans have repeated the same regurgitating talking points since 2001. Since Bush 2.0, Republicans have said the same thing. The Democrats will spend us into bankruptcy. The national debt will get passed on to our grandkids and their grandkids. They will always say the same thing. Gas prices. Yes, they were talking about gas prices in 2001. They were talking about, women's rights. Abortion was a big thing in 2001. But the funny thing about that was the Supreme Court was balanced. The Supreme Court at the time was balanced. It had an equal number of progressives and equal number of heavy conservatives. Not the case 2022, where it's leaning right. But it amazes me so that Republicans, along with Walker, along with Green, they literally got elected on a plan of nothing. How do you get elected when you said no plan, but you said all the right words? Which leads me to believe this one conclusion that I have when it comes to politics, that Republican Party is a cult. That's the only thing. And again, this is just my observation, that the Republican Party is nothing more than a cult. Because anytime, it's really almost up there with those Jim Jones types of things, where I'm going to vote conservative because I don't like Biden. Let's go, Brandon. They try to make that a thing. And it's even to the point to where the lonely black person on the Senate, on the Republican Party as senators, Tim Scott, somehow got reelected to South Carolina. The man has done nothing. And I realize either these people are very smart, and I've realized as long as you get in with the right people, you can be a senator for the U.S. Congress, get paid, and do nothing but talk. Maybe they're smart people, or maybe they realize that the conservative constituents that they swore down that they follow really are that easy to dupe. You take it from there. However, even with that, I try to find the silver lining in things, guys. And I think I found it here because, again, along with midterm elections, some states had things on the ballot. Tennessee in 2022 has finally banned slavery. Bravo, Tennessee. Well, to be a trailblazer. In 2022, Tennessee has banned slavery has officially banned slavery as a state, unless it goes with imprisonment. That's Tennessee being progressive, even though a little over 2 centuries late, but that's Tennessee. Let's not forget that other states have done differently. What I mean by the states, I mean Maryland and Missouri legalized recreational marijuana because the bill was actually for recreational marijuana was for Maryland, Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Arkansas. Now, out of the midterm voting yesterday, apparently the bill had enough yays for Maryland and Missouri to actually have legalized recreational marijuana. Unfortunately, in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Arkansas, the ballot did not go through. Now, what does that mean? That means that with that being added, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We now have 17 states. 17 states where marijuana is legal. Obviously, the ones that are in contention right there is for medical use. So the light green is medical use. Green is all go. Yes, I know how that sounds. Green is all go. But it's progressive. That's progressive to me. To me, right there, that's progressive. Because like I said before, I'm not a cannabis smoker, but I do see the medical applications in it. I do see the mechanical and agricultural applications in it. And just like most things that were deemed illegal, the only way that they were beat is to make them legal and tax them. That's it. You want to? I say it best. You want to know how to stop weed smokers? You want to stop the quote unquote war on marijuana? There is no war. It's just like the war on drugs. It was bullshit from Jump Street because it was more focused on marijuana than it was cocaine. When you guys are, half the time you guys are worried about how much Sudafed and how much Claritin and everything else that you buy in a store because, meth is the problem. But again, marijuana. Marijuana has helped out many people. And again, the applications are endless. The economy is booming, especially in the states that do have recreational marijuana. And now Maryland and Missouri is going to join that. And again, that knocks up. So 17 states out of 50 where you can go and toke up. So for those who are cannabis smokers, have fun. Although for those who shot it down, but you're popping oxycodone, Percocets, and Oxycontin, yeah, we can tell what you go for. But it is amazing to me, guys, like I said before, with all that being said, that it has dominated. So far, and keep in mind, like I said, the midterm's still going on. They're still coming, there's still voting to be done. And if there is any news, we will definitely cover it and go from there. But overall, what does this mean? Let's play devil's advocate. There's only 3 scenarios this can work out in. Scenario number 1, say it's an even split. Republicans get the House, Democrats get the Senate, with Biden and Kamala Harris in for the last 2 years of the first term. It could be a lame duck session. It could be Republicans trying to investigate, trying to do their investigations, but will be hard to do if the Senate is still ran by Democrats. And especially Joe Biden would try to step in and make sure that these ridiculous investigations don't happen. Possible. Scenario number 2, Democrats could somehow, and I say somehow, and it's probably less than likely, could probably still get a majority in the Senate, which they could do if Arizona is validated to be in their favor, if Georgia, off a runoff, be validated in their favor, they can get the Senate with Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker. So they can still have a slim majority, but again, it seems less than likely at this point because as the House is leading right now, it could go Republican and again, go back to scenario 1, but scenario 2 is possible. Then there is scenario number 3, which again is less than likely, but it's possible. Republicans could get this, and I say this, Republicans more than likely will get the House. And if some snowball's chance in hell, they get the Senate. Would that make things difficult? Yes. We've seen what happens when Republicans have barely the Senate. When the Republicans had the Senate and they had the presidency, they passed through tax cuts that are still actually active to this day. Same tax cuts that Trump put in are still active. They have not been turned down. The corporate tax rate has not been increased. And again, the tax breaks that were taken from the middle class have not been reinstalled. But tax breaks have been given to the upper parts. Republicans, we've seen what Republicans can do when they have the Senate and they have the presidency. But in this scenario for number 3, which again, less than likely, if they do have both the House and the Senate with majority, then yes, unfortunately, they could actually push things through. Oh, Biden can try to veto it, but it'll go right back to the House and Senate again to be voted upon, and they could overrule his veto. But again, scenarios 2 and 3, in my opinion, are less than likely. Scenario number 1, with Democrats getting the Senate and Republicans getting the House, seems to be the more likely scenario. But we will find out, because like I said, voting is still going along. We may not get answers about the results of the midterms and the fate of our Congress really until sometime Friday or possibly, and I say possibly, next week. But with that being said, we did have other news, especially this one, because this kind of hurts my heart, because we as Black people always have to endure so much. And no, I'm not talking about Kyrie. I'm not talking about Kanye, because it's stupid to talk about something or say something that, unless you have factual evidence, or unless you have historical data, or unless you have something that actually sounds concrete, because people kill me, and I don't mean against this rant with Kyrie Irving. To me, he deserves everything he gets. Just like Kanye, you deserve everything that's happening to you. You do. When you say comments like that, when you hear people say, "Well, we are one of the lost tribes," I'm like, prove it. Prove it. As a man of facts, prove it. I am more. It's like, here's for all those that are saying, you know what, Black people are the true Jewish people. Here's what I'm telling you. I say this. I implore you, if you're going to say something like that, prove it. Show us where you got it from. Show us your research. Show us your documentation. It's just like science. You throw out a theory and expect, because you said it, that we take that theory to be fact. We don't. Show us where you're coming from on this, and then we can have a conversation. But no, I don't feel bad about what's happening to those guys, because again, when you say something like that and you're just like, I don't gotta prove it to you, what makes you no different than a person that's for Trump? What makes you no different than a troll on social media that's going to ask you to prove what you say? What makes you any different? Because you believe you're right? If that's the case, then it's your opinion, but you can't go shouting around as fact. Not without due diligence. You're not Candace Owens. You're not Ben Shapiro. Just because you say something, and you say something in an eloquent and yet authoritative tone, does not make it true without evidence. That being said, as I went into my little mini rant for a second, guys, unfortunately, this young woman who was at the University of Kentucky, unfortunately, has another tale of racism that we as Black people all have, that we shouldn't. And this woman was humiliated. This woman was assaulted. And I have to give her strength on this, because if it was me, I'd be in jail for whooping that bitch's ass.
I was physically, verbally, and racially assaulted by Jane Doe, aka Sophia Rosing.
A powerful and emotional moment for UK freshman Kyla Spring.
My name is Kyla Spring.
Her name echoing in a crowd of hundreds of UK students, friends, family, and those who traveled to Lexington to stand beside her against racism and discrimination. Spring, the victim of an assault early Sunday morning by another UK student, 22-year-old Sophia Rosing. Rosing was captured on video attacking Spring, who was working an overnight shift at the front desk of Boyd Hall. Rosing is also heard repeatedly using racial slurs towards Spring. Rosing was arrested, charged with assault of a police officer, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication. A judge ruled Monday that Rosing is to have no contact with any victims, no alcohol, and no contact with Boyd Hall. Spring, addressing the incident Monday night at a march to stop racism and discrimination, she says she prays Rosing can open her heart to love.
As Michelle Obama once said, when they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high.
Spring's mother also addressing the crowd of supporters, urging them to continue the fight for equality and to end violence and hate.
We thank you. We're grateful for you. But we charge you to not just let this be a moment. Let this be a movement.
The University of Kentucky issued a statement condemning the actions of Rosing, stating that an investigation and disciplinary review is underway. But while the Spring family waits to see what action the university will take, Kyla had one final thing to say.
And to Miss Rosing, you will not break my spirit.
In Lexington, Caitlin Shive.
Now, I will say this about that young woman. That was a lot of poise, a lot of strength, and wise beyond her years. I will give her nothing but the utmost respect because that took a lot of courage and strength to not beat that bitch's ass. I try not to encourage violence, but I'm usually a peaceful dude. But in that sense, a drunk person that was trying to enter the ground and trying to enter a dorm at University of Kentucky, that young woman right there being RA was making sure that she couldn't enter. And the entire time being called the N-word. And the restraint that young woman showed. And then at the same time, we know how this happens. You know, she didn't want to give the drunk white girl, didn't want to give her name, which, again, I still find that amazing. I'm like, how did you not give your name to the police? At the same time, she also got booked as a Jane Doe. Come to find out that she does come from a well-off family. And I love the fact that as she tried not to give her name, I'm like, number one, in an electronic-fueled society as we are, there's always going to be somebody that knows you. They may look at that. They may look at your picture and go, I know who that is. Yes. Now we know who you are. And Sophia Rosing, I hate to say it, but what's the worst? I mean, worst case scenario, what can the university do? Kick her out? I mean, she won't face it. I mean, yeah, she faces charges, but as you heard, most of the charges were drunk and disorderly. Most charges were attacking a police officer. But where's the charge of assault against her? She did assault her. She did verbally assault her. And I heard no charges whatsoever for that young lady because now, again, I'm going to tell you what's going to wind up happening. That Miss Sophia Rosing, the drunk white girl in the video, her parents will basically get her out of University of Kentucky. She will go to a no-name school. More than likely, I won't say her name will be changed, but she's going to go somewhere where no one knows her and still be able to continue her education. And the unfair out of all this. Now, I'm not saying that the white girl's life should be ruined, but she should be made an example of. Because, like I said, had it been me, in my mind, I can only hear try Jesus, not me, because I got hands. That girl, if I was a woman if I was a black woman in that sense, and a white girl who's drunk is calling me the N-word repeatedly so many times, I don't think there's a court in the world I'll sit there and be like, I mean, you can only take so much. She would have got equal lefts and equal rights. Only hands. But again, it just goes to show you that this is the melting pot that we have. Do you wonder why we keep on saying cultural sensitivity needs to be taught? Do you wonder why some aspects of critical race theory needs to be taught? Do you wonder why that we really need to look at the society, the societal environment that we have? Why it needs to be looked at? Why it needs to be adjusted? Why in some cases where I've told my kids that, look, I don't expect you to start a fight, but I expect you to finish it. Because in my opinion, there's two ways they can be respected. One of them is stomping their ass out. But I try not to encourage violence. Like I said, I love that young woman is doing. She's like, you will not break me. Because it is amazing. And that's why I said it's one of the reasons why I keep on saying the entire time why I don't like the N-word. I don't like the N-word for that very specific reason. Because that word alone, and if you're a black person, look, it's the same reason why I don't like it being called me. I don't like being called the N-word because, number one, I'm not that. I am a Negro. I am a Negus. I am a, I don't really call myself a black king because not everybody be kings and queens. Some of us got to be court jesters. But you can call me anything else in the world, but you cannot call me that. Because that has so much historical reference behind it, so much hate and anger and dehumanizing to the point to where I don't understand why black people, and again, that goes to a whole nother subject, because in my mind, for that one name to have so much power, why is it that for black people, we believe, for some of us, not all of us, but for some of us, we believe that saying the N-word to each other, despite changing the letters and things of that nature, makes it better. We're just perpetuating the cycle. Because again, you don't get mad when another black person says it, but you get mad when a white person says it, or anybody else non-black says it. I've never understood that for as long as I live. But it's your party. Sorry, you cut the cake. But for me, nah. It's either Will, first name, last name, anything else in the world. But I definitely don't get called that. Just because, again, you see the psychological effects it has on us as a people. And that is why I sit there and say so much that I understand what that young lady was feeling. But at the same time, I feel like that white girl will get a pass. I feel like she will. But speaking of things that should be getting a pass, again, before we get to our feel-good story, guys, this is why I say police reform needs to happen. Why? A blind man was getting stopped. Well, legally blind man was getting stopped because the female officer mistaken his walking stick for a gun. I wish I could make that up.
Hi there. Hey. What's this in your back pocket? I just saw you walking it.
It's a navigational aid. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Yeah, I am actually. What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes, sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
What is your suspicion?
It looks like you're carrying a gun in your back pocket. I'm stopping to make sure you're carrying it properly. You don't have
you ensured that it's not a firearm?
No, you keep turning so I can't see it. You don't have to be a to me.
Well, you're being one to me.
No, sir, I'm doing my job.
Am I detained?
Yeah, you are.
For what she stopped you for? For a walking stick.
So,
and it could look like a weapon. She asked you to present it, okay? Now,
all right, Mr. Hodges. Was that hard?
it's going to be. I want your name and your badge number. You know what? Put him in jail for resisting.
Okay.
Sir, are you legally blind? Yes, I am. Okay. I had to walk up here in the dark for jury duty, which was canceled. Why aren't you using your stick? You don't have to use your stick all the time? Not all the time. I want your name and badge number 2, sir.
Now, the wild part about that is that all could have been avoided because, number one, as a person that studies firearms, that I feel like you should know the big difference between a walking stick and a firearm. And I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like that young lady just didn't want to admit fault. I feel like the officer didn't want to admit fault. And if you're the guy who's going to back up said officer, I don't feel like, it's almost like you don't want to correct them. It's like, well, of course, when he stopped, let's be honest, he did seem a grumpy, but that's usually older people anyway. Have you ever been around an old person? You'll be very rarely to find that they're usually not in a good mood. At least some of them. Some of them are the happiest people you ever met. Some of them are grumpy. You get a coin flip of which ones you run into. But it's the fact of how the female officer stopped him. I need to see if you have a weapon. It's like, what's that in your back pocket? It's a navigational stick. Oh, and it's like, what are you, a tyrant? Look, The whole job of law enforcement is to de-escalate situations. She was trying to de-escalate situations. Whatever attitude he gave, she gave right back to him. And the whole time he's like, and of course, man knows his laws apparently. Am I being detained? Oh, well, yes, you're being detained. Okay, then I can give you my ID then. But if he's refusing, it's like, okay, we're going to arrest him without violence for not giving his ID? You could arrest somebody for that? And of course, when the other officer shows up, he's like, this is a walking stick. Are you legally blind? Yes. Why would I carry a walking stick in my back pocket? Well, she thinks it's a weapon. He starts laughing. And again, I feel like that other officer failed to de-escalate. The other officer came up and said, you know what? It's a walking stick. He doesn't have a weapon. Just go apologize to the man. Give him your badge number and stuff. Let him be on his way. How quickly and easily it could have been solved if she did just that. She didn't. He didn't. And now his case got thrown out because he was adamant. And at the same time, 2 officers got suspended without pay. Why? For the simple fact of the matter is, the whole situation could have been avoided. Really could have. But again, this is why I say police reform needs to happen. I'm not saying defund the police, but but the way officers are being trained and allowed to operate in the U.S. needs to have a massive overhaul. Because a little issue like that could have been resolved easily, but got blown out of proportion because 2 officers with badges thought they could impose their will on somebody that really didn't need to. They really could have solved their own problem. But that being said, guys, we are going to move on to our feel-good episode, moment here on How the Frack Got Here, because usually on How the Frack Got Here, we do cover a lot of things, sometimes doom and gloom, make use of your faith in humanity. But hey, it is the middle of the week. Tomorrow's Friday, which is Thursday, and we want to leave you guys out with some positive, good vibes, and hopefully this next story about a young woman who just simply wants to be an athlete, but gets held back because of idiots still pushing through. And yes, you'll understand why.
Alone or in a sea of runners, this pair of fast feet stands out because when Noor Alexandria Abukaram suits up, her outfit isn't complete without her hijab. But in 2019, that religious headdress got her disqualified from a high school race near Toledo, Ohio.
They took away that part of me, that idea that I'm a competitor. You know, I'm a part of the sport, just like everyone else in this race.
As an athlete, to be stripped of that, is that heartbreaking?
Absolutely.
Her frustration went viral, inspiring an Ohio state law promising to better protect athletes' religious expression.
On your mark!
Abukaram races against discrimination again this Sunday as a New York City marathon honoree.
I just want to smile the whole time.
Her parents also running for the cause.
I was like, absolutely, I'm down, 100%.
Abukaram slowed down so we could catch up.
When you're digging deep and you might be feeling exhausted and you need to keep pushing, what are you thinking about? Who are you thinking about?
I think I'm thinking about my sister a lot. I'm thinking about her. I'm thinking about all future female athletes.
Including in Iran, where Abukaram sees protesters as allies.
Women all over the world are fighting for their right to choose.
A choice she'll wear proudly in front of marathon masses.
I hope that they can see that strength as like a young Muslim runner and not just being inspired to maybe go out and run themselves, but also inspired to go do something that they can start to feel their strength.
Celebrated by a champion promising to go the distance. Jesse Kirsch, NBC.
I thought that was pretty cool, just because of the fact of the matter is that it never ceases to amaze me. And we've covered many stories like this on the podcast where we talked about certain wrestlers who had to cut their locks, certain women who were running track that had to have things out of their hair taken out because of the most idiotic regulations I've ever heard of. And a hijab. It's a hijab. It is a representation of her Muslim faith. It does not give any advantage whatsoever. And yet, it is amazing to me that we're supposed to be such a progressive country. I know this is supposed to be positive, but I'm trying my hardest. But for us to be such a progressive country, that we are so outdated in what is so foreign to us. Completely outdated. But that being said, I do love the fact that she is getting to run in the New York Marathon as an honoree. Anybody who does marathon running, God bless you. Because don't get me wrong, I'm trying to get back into it. I miss running, but my running was more short distance, football, basketball, some soccer, but if you're going to sit there and tell me, how far are we running? 26 miles. We could just take a car. But again, for all those that love marathon running, kudos to you guys. And definitely love to see, just to be trailblazers and changers is a great thing. So again, I'm with you in spirit on the marathon running because 26 miles only in a zombie apocalypse. But that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this podcast. Do thank everybody that liked, that watched, that shared, that let people know it's live. I certainly appreciate that. Before we get out of here, guys, some shameless plugging, as usual. Shout out to my buddy Vaughn at BigBZA on all socials. You can definitely catch him on all socials at BigBZA with his TikTok and his beats, because, yes, he is back to beat making. Definitely check him out there. Of course, guys, I can be found on all socials under the name BlackBox447. Like and follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, and also the How the Frack We Got Here Facebook page as well. I do post everything that I review and watch. I cannot wait to play God of War Ragnarok, but I have to wait because I have responsibilities. And also gym stuff because I do a couple push-ups. At the same time, guys, I want us, if there's any wish I have for the end of 2022 and going into 2023, I want unity. I want people to come together to unite under a certain goal. I want us to organize. I want us to look at the problem and say that we can do better. I want us to communicate more. I want us to work. I want, really the big thing is just unity, and not just, especially with Black people. I just want unity. I want to have that unity. I want us to be able to network. I want everybody to win. That's all my wish is for 2022 going to 2023. And I will say this: if you have a dream, go after it. If you have a passion, pursue it and become obsessed with it. Don't give up on it. Like I said on the podcast, don't give up on it. Now, you see at the bottom, guys, let me make this a little bit bigger for everybody to see. If you copy and paste that link into your browser, it'll take you to my link tree that has the YouTube and Facebook groups for all my podcasts. How the Frack Got Here, Get Bit, and of course, off of this podcast. Like, share, subscribe, let people know about it. I would certainly appreciate it. And also with that, but also before we actually wrap this up, guys, again, if you're going to be in an area, and I say this very heavily, if you're going to be in an area that has a lot of foot traffic, please wear a mask, protect yourself as best you can. We are still in a pandemic area with coronavirus and its many variants. If you feel the least bit sick, please stay home, because the only way we beat pandemics is to actually do what we're instructed to do or being advised to do. Stay home if you're sick. Wear a mask if you're going to be heavily attracted, or if you're traveling in the air or by land or by sea. When you take care of yourselves, you take care of each other, and that's how we're going to beat this thing. Now, that being said, guys, last thing I'll say about How the Frack Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are simply giving you all the information and allowing you to make up your own mind, but we are providing a logical perspective that goes along with it. We do a lot better as a society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past by making decisions now that we should have done back then, like electing our first Black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first Black woman to the Federal Board of Governors, electing our first Black 4-star military general in the armed services. All great things. When we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it. That's all we keep asking ourselves. Why does everything go up by our paycheck? Why are we electing different politicians with the same old game in Congress? And most importantly, how the Frack got here. Thank you all for watching, guys. If you watch this on the replay, still want to know what you guys think. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we will all get through this. Peace.